سلام تخاتلتي مدبر تلفزيون إريسات كما يتقون لهم باركس قدامين كالعين كفال كم تخاتلكمون أدلو دك أنسيو إيرترا نتي أب مدرخ جنيبا كتشحن أسات حمشان وحيكات استخايدة تعزيكمون تخاتلكمون كن تسبان قبر تجخاء سالسين نهي مودعتان كفالو حيزنا لكم يتئنا لنا نمكتالو بخبرنا عندنا
Thank you. I think I have to jump on the legal rights that exist between the woman and her husband. The registration is simply formality that should be registered on the head of the family. As we said, the head of the family has been amended in our civil code, and she can be a woman or he can be a man. And the land should be registered on the head of the family, but this does not mean he has the only right on that land ownership. It goes for both. So this is the clear law. It goes for both. It's only registration. It's only if I am the head of the family, it will only be registered on my name, but my wife will appear on the document, and it goes for both of us. This is simply formality of registering the land, because it has been amended in our civil code. As we said before, it has been amended, and the head of the family can be a man or a woman. But that does not give him or give her the ownership.
On the urban and rural indicators, I think there is a shortcoming here, which we have to look at
on the legal right
later on.
And
in
on
our
the issue
future
of
reports.
committee,
It's only gender aggregated, and in some areas it gives you an urban indication, in some areas it gives you a rural, but it's not a holistic approach for all this reporting, so it will be considered, madam. On the redistribution of land, the committees, there are three members. One is a must. It is a reserved seat for the woman, but she can still contest on the two. So sometimes you get two ladies and one man committee, and sometimes you get one. One is a must. You have to have one always. So we know the problem of being one, a lonely lady sitting with this man and fighting for the rights. Yeah, we understand that, but we have to continue fighting. There is no other choice. You have to sit there and go fighting. And besides, on top of that, you have illegal backing. On top of that, you have the national union's Eritrean backing. That is very important in our situation, because this organization goes down to the village level. Whatever happens in every village, it's on the table of the village leader from the woman's side. So they can come and complain if there is anything. And the men, as village members, knowing this, they don't even think to do to distort or misuse the policy or misuse the law on the land. So, but for us as women, we have to be always strong. We have always to be strong wherever we are, in the committees or in upper echelons. And on the distribution of the land, it's already mentioned, but there is a sheet, there is a paper, a document. The husband is Mr. So-and-so, the wife is Madam So-and-so. And that is the ownership of both of them. They get that paper, written, the names of both of them. House you have, given, owned by both of you, it's the ownership of the spouse, both of you. When it comes to divorce, then it goes 50-50. Anything, any property that was registered after your marriage, it is the property of both of you. Any property which was owned before the marriage is up to the individual. You can share it or you can leave it. This is the system. So we really don't have any problem here. The mining, I really don't get what you wanted from you're looking for, Madam. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Yes, if I understood the question correctly, I think you were asking about the impact on the people who live on the vicinity of the mining company, probably. So can I get clarification on that issue? Because it is an infant industry. The mining section in the sector in Eritrea is an infant industry. It has not been practiced for many years. It has we have it since 6 or 8 years, and the law is in place. But if I can get your question correctly, I would be.
Yeah.
Insist
So
I will
I
not
just
insist on an answer.
So
it is out of courtesy
that
I am.
Yes, I will give a floor to
exactly.
For
Usually, before mining operations take place, you would have environmental impact assessment. You'd look at gender indicators. Women would be involved in all processes. The indicators are there, and those are the ones I was asking for. But I do not need an answer now. Then there's the local content agreement, in which we know the services that are going to be provided locally. And also there, gender components can be built into that agreement. And this is what is usually lacking in a lot of mining contracts. This was the nature of the information I was seeking. But given time and given maybe the immediacy and the urgency of the question, I'm prepared to let it rest. Thank you very much for coming back. Thank you.
Do we have one more follow-up question? I will give the floor to Madam Ajar.
Madam Chair, it's really a follow-up to the follow-up. I was just curious when this clarification was made that the head of the family has been amended and that it can be a man or a woman. My question is, I mean, what does this amended mean in the civil code? Does it mean that the head of the family concept has been abolished? Or I understand that is not the case because there is a head of the family. In that case, how does it work? I mean, it is possible, of course, to have female-headed families, but is it the most often practiced or the what's the word? I mean the normal situation for men to be, but in exceptional cases, women can be voluntary, can be head of the family, or is it, do couples declare at the beginning of a marriage who they want to be named as head of the family? I'm just curious about that. Thank you.
I will give the floor to the delegation.
Thank you to clarify my point, I think before our independence, the head of the family was only a man. And it was prohibited that a woman can be the head of the family. When we came and amended the law that discriminate the woman, this was one of those provisions that were amended. And we said the head of the family can be a man or a woman. It can be a man or a woman. It's up to the choice of the family to have the head of the family a man or a woman. According to this practice, now recently we have reached 47% of the Eritrea households are led by women. And this is left to the discretion of the family, so I can be the head of the family, or my wife can be. Thank you.
To be a head of a family previously means whatever the family owns is the property of the husband. The woman cannot have a bank account on her name. The bank account should be on the name of her husband. Every walk of her life is through the husband. Now, if she wants, when we improved this or amended it, a woman can have her own bank account. Her husband knows it, but she still can go and draw money from the bank on her own basis. But before, this was forbidden for a woman. So when we just amended this, we gave more opportunity, more empowerment to the woman in the family. This didn't bring any collusion between the man and the woman, because it has become the land of the law, and everyone in the family should be abided by it. So it doesn't mean that women cannot be a family head, head of the family. They can be head of the family. A man can be head of the family. This is for both of them to enjoy. It should not be discriminating the woman, giving only the chance to a man. That's the whole point. Otherwise, families live together with their kids. They respect each other. The wife respects the husband respects the wife, but within certain limits, they have their own rights to exercise. This is the whole point, I think.
Now we will move to the last part of the convention, that is part 4, which covers articles 15 and 16. So I will give the floor to Madam Leynard. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As it was correctly mentioned by the Honorable Head of Delegation, that since 1994, women in Eritrea enjoy equal rights to land and property. But we still learn from alternative sources, and you will correct me if it has changed already, that some legal gaps continue to exist, resulting in de facto violations of women's rights. For example, in some instances, Sharia law governs inheritance rights, leaving Muslim women vulnerable to discrimination. In such cases, according to the Sharia law, women inherit only half of what usually men are entitled. How frequent are such cases now, and how the state intends to eradicate this inequality, de facto inequality? Then the land and property rights of women also are unclear in polygamous marriages, just because husbands can claim land for one wife only. So how could you comment on this? And now I would turn again to the marriage age. It is, of course, very commendable, and it is stated in the report that the marriage age has been raised up to 18 for both girls and boys. However, according to the data presented by the UNICEF for 2014, 20% of girls were married by the age of 15, and 47% of girls were married by the age of 18. This is a very early age. And my question would be, how can you explain these very early marriages? Some alternative sources would claim that families consider early marriages as an escape route from the national service for their daughters. As a result, then girls marry and become pregnant and abandon formal education. But maybe you have some additional other explanations. And just if to come back to the head of family, I also had a question. Of course, most probably there is no such statistical data. But what is your feeling when there is both men and women in the family? Who choose to be the head of the family? I understand when my colleagues also was trying to explain it. When you have just female in the family, of course, the head of the family will be a woman. But when you have both, how many in such cases you have registered the head of family being a woman? Thank you.
Thank you. Now I will give the floor to the delegation to respond to the question. You have the floor, madam.
Thank you. I think the issue of Sharia law and inheritance was addressed, but just to clarify the issue of inheritance still. The government has the obligation to respect religious issues and people's belief. This is the policy of the government. Inheritance falls, for Muslims, falls within the Sharia law. And by the way, we do not inherit land. Land is the property of the government. It's not the property of the people. We only have use right. Like we say, we use the land, we use the property, but we do not have ownership on land. So it does not even go with the law. Nobody inherits land. But on the inheritance general issue, they are governed by Sharia law, and this is the choice of the people. It's not the choice of it is an option. The government is not left with any option to tell them to go to the civil law. But if I do have the option, I can use my option on the civil code. And this could be the alternative that we work together. Probably the National Union of Eritrean Women tries to administer these issues from village level to tell the people their rights, their duties, and everything. And then to allocate land usage for those women on that under Sharia issues. On the issue of marriage, the majority age is 18. But there are exceptional circumstances where the civil law of Eritrea allows the marriage of a minor on the 16 years of age on exceptional circumstances where the interest of the girl child requires the family arbitrators will sit and decide for that if it is really an issue that should be taken care by the family arbitration. And on this very exceptional circumstance, our law allows girls to marry on the age of 16, but it is very exceptional. The statistics that I have heard from you, the 20% of those organizations, I think is exaggerated, and we do not depend on that because we do have our own exceptions. It has been said so many times. But if it's really and on the ground, we have already admitted this issue that we have to combat with the early marriage, and it was stated in our statement also today as a challenge that we are facing and we are trying to address. On the issue of marriage not to go to Sawa, escape from national service is not only a burden. It's also an opportunity for women to ascertain their right equally with their male counterparts. We have the history of struggle, long armed struggle, in which women participated and got their rights accordingly. This is the reflection that we have in our minds. And going to national service is not simply a burden, but it's an opportunity. So I don't think these are issues, but there can be some very few exceptions which we admit, which we acknowledge always. And on this migration is also the same, I think. So it was really addressed. Probably if you have some points to add, Sanai, can I pass the microphone to you?
On the family head issue, what we are saying here is that in a family where a mother and father are living together, who of them is registered or who is registered as a family head? I think there is mobile. Okay. It's not the issue of who is going to register as head of the family. It's true where there is only a mother heading the family, she's going to be the head of the family. But in case of both of them are living, they don't have to go and register, oh, today I will be the head of the family and sometime you will be the head of the... No, it's not that the issue. The family is registered in both names, in the name of the father and the family. There is always a sheet and says who is the father, Mr. Enso, who is the mother, Mr. Enso, and how many kids, what property this is. This means that they own the property together. They decide. The most important thing is they decide the fate of the family together. The man doesn't have an upper hand to decide on the fate of the kids, to decide on the daily living condition of the family. What are they going to buy? How are they going to manage their house? What is going to happen to the future of their kids? They sit and discuss it together and decide together. So giving them the power of equality within the family makes them becoming the same time head of the family, like her husband. So if you just leave this to be the husband to be the head of the family, then the mother doesn't have any right to talk even to anything about her kids, about her living situation, etc. in the family. Even if they want to move from that place and go and resettle some other place, the mother should be consulted. She should have a say with her kids. Otherwise, he is a husband outside of the house. He decides whatever he wants to decide and comes back and implements whatever is in his mind is not applicable in Eritrea. So that's the provision, that's the message or the spirit of becoming the household. It's not mathematically like you are today, I am tomorrow. No, it's not. It's jointly leading the family life. This is the meaning of that article. As a woman, I would like to stress on the issue of escape route on national service, to get early marriage, to escape from the national service. We are really sick and tired of this kind of information and bombardment of unnecessary information and data. And this is not happening. I know our girls are ready to join the national service because, number one, before joining the national service, they have to finish the pre-college education. Imagine, I was spending all my time, 11 years in high school. Instead of going and in Sawa Training Center and doing my last year of pre-college education, would I waste my time? I waste my career, my future career? Should I waste my future life because of this? No. So I go and join the pre-college 1 year education and then do the 3 months military training. For what? For my own life. As a citizen of a nation, I have the obligation, as I have the right. If I have a right, I have to have an obligation. I cannot only get a right. I have to have an obligation. Right and obligation go simultaneously, side by side. So if I want this from my country, I should do this from my country. Everybody knows the speech of John F. Kennedy. I don't want to repeat it, but that's the message. You want to do something to your country? You want to ask something to your country? Do something for your country. That's it. So this is, as a women, we want to participate in the national service. Not only that, we are now looking to participate in the armed force. We have to be part of the armed force, rank and file of the armed force. If we don't do that, we are not going to get our equality. And we don't really want to get our equality. We want to get our equality by participation, not by giving us by somebody else. We don't want it. Somebody should not give us our rights. We have to get it by showing our ability to do things. So not only national service, which is 18 months at least legally, but even become members of the armed force, both the Air Force, the Land Force, and the Sea Force, the Navy. Yeah. So this is our choice as Eritreans. Without doing that, there will not be an equal opportunity or equality achieved in the country. We don't want to be again victims of patriarchal sentiments, victims of stereotyping feelings. This, we have to fight it by showing it in practice, practically. Otherwise, we are not going to wait for someone to give us our rights. Nobody gives us our rights. We get our rights ourselves. This is our motto. This is our goal. Thank you.
Now the floor is open to follow-up questions. Okay. Oh. Madam Kubedema, you have the floor.
Thank you. This is mainly a question to the delegation for clarification. You have indicated in your response to Ms. Lenate that these lands allocated by the government are not inherited. So I just want some clarification. We've seen categories of land in your report for commercial agriculture, commercial enterprises, housing. I would like to ask whether land that is given for commercial agriculture, for example, in which I assume substantial financial investment has been made, for example, cotton plantation. Is it the case that this one cannot be inherited? So which of these are inherited and which are not?
Thank you. I will give a floor to the delegation, please.
Okay, thank you, Madam Governor, for that. What I said is land is the ownership of the government. It's not the investment. It's not the property erected over the land. It's not the investment. We always have on our proclamation and our policies fair distribution and fair compensation for those who invested on land and everything. There is a fair compensation for that if the government wants to use that land for its own use. But the investment and the property erected over the land remains to be the property of the owner, and they can be inherited. But what I said is the land is the ownership of the government. Thank you.
Thank you. This concludes the consideration of the fourth and fifth periodic report of Eritrea. I would like to thank the experts for their questions and comments, and the representatives of the State Party for the responses and the explanations provided. Does the Madam Head of Delegation wish to make some concluding remarks?
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. On behalf of the government of the State of Eritrea, I thank you, Madam Chair, and distinguished members of the committee for this fruitful, constructive dialogue that took place between my delegation and the distinguished members of the committee. Madam Chair, Eritrea values such engagement as a productive input for the advancement of women's rights, though the empowerment of the women is a reflection of our unbreakable principles and values. We acknowledge that important issues were raised that Eritrea highly values. We will put those concerns in the consideration in the future. I am also thankful to the members of human rights organizations, NGOs, and civil society who have forwarded their positive input to the enhancement of gender rights in the forum. Madam Chair, we will share all the discussion, concern, and observation with pertinent stakeholders, ministers, local administrators, civil society, etc., back home, and most of all with all women members of the Union. Thank you.
On behalf of the committee, I thank the delegation for the constructive dialogue with the committee, which has provided further insight into the situation of women in the State Party. The committee commends the State Party for its efforts and would encourage the State Party to take all necessary measures to address the various recommendations of the committee, which will be formally communicated to you through the permanent mission for purpose of a more comprehensive implementation of the provisions of the Convention throughout the territory of the State Party for the benefit of all women and girls in the country. Thank you, Madam, and we look forward to receiving your next periodic report. The committee will now convene as a working group in a closed session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
مباركز كبرى تخاتلتي مدبر تلفزيون إريسات زين ثلاث خفالات كحلب صنحه نتي أب كتشن 15 ورح يكاتيت أب جنيبا استخايدة نأدلو دك أنسيو ذتكورة مدبن مدرخن نتن قداي إرسا ذتكورة بثلاث خفالو نزل سمعكمون تخاتلكمون يمثل نيرو نحنا خاطر أما أتحسو أبزغت الحزن لكم كمتينا سجاب شعو خا نسقهم زلكم رئيتو حساب تمكرون كتكافلنا بزقات أمزق نحبر نفتو سجاب شعو سنايك أنا
Andele.